Hey everyone, it's me, Colby, Hunter, or Sutak, whatever you guys want to call me. Anyway, this is going to be my third review, and it is for the movie, one of the comic book movies that I saw as a kid, and the ones that I'm currently watching, and it is Daredevil, starring Ben Affleck, Jennifer Gardner, and many others. This movie, I loved it as a kid, not just because being a comic book fan, comic book reader. It's because this was one of the first comic book movies I ever saw as a child. And I thought maybe I would like to do a review on it. Anyway, let's just start off with it now. The movie begins with you seeing Daredevil holding onto a cross that's on top of a church when he's bleeding, and then he falls into the main inside of the church, where he's seemingly passing out and dies. This priest shows up, takes off his mask, and he says his real name, Matthew, and his name is Matthew Murdoch. And this event is happening toward the end of the film. And as Matthew's passed out, he has a flashback as a child where he has a flashback of him being bullied as a child by these three kids who sound like they're from The Sopranos. He then runs away. He goes to his father's place. His father tells him no more fighting, that he should be mainly studying schoolwork instead. So Matthew then, the next day, or days later, tries to go to where he thinks his father still works. Surprisingly, the people that is at his father's workplace tell him his father hasn't worked there in months. And then Matthew, whenever Matthew leaves, he then sees his father beating the crap out of someone in an alleyway. And Matt knows the worst. He knows that his father works for this crime boss called the Fixer. And then whenever Matt leaves, he is shocked by this, so he runs away. And then he runs into this bad toxic waste, and it splashes him in the face, knocks him out. And when he wakes up in the hospital, he finds out that he is blind, and that whenever he hears sound, it basically allows him to see the outline of his surroundings and other people. And then then Matthew would train with it. He would train and work with his father, and then one day Matthew would train his body, his senses, everything. He'd basically be the boy without fear. He'd even beat the crap out of his bullies that bullied him when he could see. And then one day he would be attending a match, a boxing match that his father was doing. Yeah, his father was a boxer battling Jack Murdoch, and he could even tell that his father was losing the match. And his father, who was still working for the Fixer tells him that all the fighters that worked for him were basically supposed to lose to Jack. And then he tells Jack that it is his time to lose as well. But then Jack doesn't do this. He disobeys, and he wins the fight. Because, he didn't want to disappoint his son Matthew, who could hear him and tell that he was, losing. Matthew would go outside and wait for his father, who would also just go outside. His father would encounter these men and would be beating the crap by them, and then he would seemingly be killed. One of the men would drop a rose onto his chest, and then Matthew would hear this, and he would go to his dead father's body saying, "I can't see you anymore." And then after this scene, it would flash forward years later, where Matt is a lawyer. He is a lawyer who works with a best friend, Foggy Nelson. They run a lawyer corporation called Nelson and Murdoch, and currently they are not doing well with cases, and they lost a case about this man who was basically abusing this woman. And then since Matthew lost his case, he thought maybe he could take this into his own hands. So he becomes sorry. So he becomes Daredevil. Daredevil, you know, is a vigilante in New York, a superhero. Daredevil goes after him in this biker bar where he kicks a lot of ass, and he fights all of them. He beats them, and then this rapist would get away, and then Daredevil would follow him into the subway where he would seemingly push this rapist onto the tracks where a train was coming, and the reason why he knocked him down was because he had a gun to Daredevil's head. So basically he seemingly killed him, but he did it out of defense, and because he wanted to. And, you know, like, and you would think, you know, since a superhero is not really supposed to kill, in this case, you would think, you know, he's more of an anti-hero, or more of a bad guy. Because later on in the movie, he would say, "I'm not the bad guy." Whenever he was rescuing this little boy from a man who had kidnapped him, he would go up to the kid saying, "I'm not the bad guy." But the kid wouldn't listen. He would just keep saying, "Don't hurt me," while crying. And if you saw that scene, you would think he is the bad guy. And I guess, you know, I kind of like that scene because it was kind of, you know, intensifying, and you kind of feel some of the emotion from the characters. And also, or as like, yes, later on, as Matt Murdock, he and his friend Foggy, before they were going to the case one morning, Matt would meet a woman named Elektra, who he would end up in a fight with just to learn her name, and they would become good friends really quickly. And afterward, she would basically Matt would invite Elektra to his house, and they would have sex. Yeah, I said have sex. And then later on, she would invite him to this ball, and then she would have to leave with her father, and she and her father would suddenly be attacked by an assassin named Bullseye, who was hired by the Kingpin, whom her father worked by. Her father was Nicholas Nachos, and his daughter Elektra. Her full name is Elektra Nachos. Sorry if I left this part out, guys. I'm just, you know, I'm recording this video on my phone, and I do not have much time. So sorry, I'm trying to cut all this in as I can. Daredevil does show up, and he does, you know, attack Bullseye, but he seemingly can't, you know, can't grab, he seemingly can't miss. He fails to save Elektra's father because this explosion goes off, and it messes with the sonar ability. After Nicholas Nachos dies, Elektra thinks that Daredevil kills him, and she knows nothing of Bullseye. And the next day, they would have this funeral, and it was a very sad scene. It was very bad. But then afterward, Elektra would train she would train, and you would see her in the scene where she's training in this room to basically, like, kill Daredevil and all that. Well, you see Daredevil, Matt just suiting up and become Daredevil. This way he could stop the Kingpin and Bullseye for one last time. And basically, while you see Daredevil leave and be on the rooftops to go after him, but then you would just basically, you know, see Elektra go after him. Elektra would fight him, she would stab Daredevil, then she would unmask him, and she would suddenly be saddened by the fact that she now knows that Daredevil is actually Matthew Murdock, her boyfriend. And then she would encounter Bullseye, she would fight him, and be killed by him with her own sai. Daredevil would be angered by this, so he would manage to get to the church that you see in the beginning of the movie. He would fight Bullseye, and then at the end of the fight, he would throw him onto a police car from the top of a building. And to me, that is a good Easter egg from the comic books. You know, there's so many Easter eggs from the comic books that you have, and to me, it's a good movie. I liked it. If you're a true comic book fan, you might like it, and you might really dislike it. And then after this, Matt would basically, go to Kingpin. He would fight him, and he would win. And also, there is a reporter, Phil Urich, who discovers Matt's identity, and he has the option to basically give it up and tell everyone, but he doesn't, because for some reason he just doesn't. And that is what ends Daredevil. But the film was mixed review, and now, sorry, onto this part. The film was mixed reviews, and I personally, I loved it. And, it gave me experience, on how to be filmmaking whenever I watched the director's cut, because, I want to be a film director. Anyway, guys, if you like this video, please subscribe, and rate, comment, subscribe if you want to see more reviews, and I hope you guys, check out the movie. Bye, guys. Next video might be Fantastic Four from 2015. Or, if you don't want to see that, put your request in the comments below. Bye. Spoilers.